All right. So good afternoon again, or good morning. Lonnie corrected me earlier, said that it's still morning where he is. So good morning if you are still in the morning time where you are. So welcome everyone. This is the Fall 2021 Spotlight Day, a day where we celebrate you for your service, for the great work that you have done with the Forest Service through our partner organizations in the Resource Assistance Program. It's just, yeah, today's all about you, to celebrate you, to thank you for your work, and also just to kind of wish you well on your next journey. We know that many of you may be doing various things, whether it's you have taken a temporary job somewhere or a permanent position in the agency and you're waiting on your conversion. You may have decided to go to graduate school, or you may have decided that, hey, the Forest Service was awesome. I enjoyed myself, but I'm still trying to find my niche. I'm still trying to figure it out. So I think I want to go and work somewhere else. And hey, we'll be here when you're ready to come back because your certificate will be good for 2 years. So you can go out and play a little bit and then come back to the Forest Service when you're ready to jumpstart that career. And so again, today is all about you. So I'm excited to hear from our presenters. Today we'll be hearing presentations from Lonnie Johnson, Kendra Derrick, Val Gonzalez, Ashley Logan, Brenda Lopez, as well as Tyler Willis. These are the RAs that are going to be presenting today, talking about their experience, sharing some of their highlights, some of their projects and things that they were able to work on and things that they were able to be exposed to. And I'm glad to welcome today all of our RAs from the fall cohort, as well as our VSP liaisons and staff, and any others that may have joined us today. We appreciate you guys for tuning in today for the presentations and to send off our RAs. So just for some housekeeping, if you could, make sure that your mic is muted the entire time unless it is your turn to speak. As well as in the chat box, if you want to drop some things in the chat to encourage our speakers, or if something pops out to you and you just kind of want to give them some kudos, definitely use the chat box. Once we have heard from all of our speakers, we will allow some time for you guys to ask some questions. So if you've seen a picture or if you've seen some type of project that you are just curious about, that'll be your opportunity to ask that RA. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and get started. So Vanessa, if you want to go ahead and share your screen.
You see that?
Not yet. Okay, yes. So if you want to go ahead and put it in your presentation mode. Awesome. All right. Well, without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Lonnie Johnson to get us started. Lonnie, take it away.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone. I am Lonnie Johnson III, and for the past 6 months, I was a resource assistant in law enforcement for the Winter Wasatch Cache National Forest out of the Ogden Ranger District in Region 4. Quick background, originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I received my bachelor's degree and master's degree from Florida A&M University, where I got a bachelor's in criminal justice and received my master's in global security and international affairs. And before taking on this internship, I spent 3 years as a correctional officer at a state prison in the state of Florida. Some of the things that I participated in as a law enforcement trainee here, for the Forest Service was patrolling by vehicle, hiking, on foot, on UTVs, ATVs, or snowmobiles. I spent a lot of time educating the public about the rules and regulations and what is and isn't allowed on the forest. On learning how to enforce the federal and state laws within the jurisdiction of the Forest Service. As an officer of the Forest Service, you do have state jurisdiction depending on your location. I spent a lot of time checking permits for fishing, hunting, timber, vehicle registration, snowmobiles, ATVs, UTVs, etc. Successfully completing citations, incident reports, and inputting them into our federal databases for approval for our patrol captains or supervisors. I also participated in local search and rescues with other state and local law enforcement agencies. Some of the skills that I learned while interning with the Forest Service was learning how to drive and retrieve vehicles in snow. Like I previously stated, I'm from Florida, so I've never seen nor been in snow. And Luckily, I had some people that was very good at driving in snow and know how to get vehicles unstuck in the snow, and I feel like that was a great skill for me to learn, especially being in the forest. I also learned how to identify crimes before even approaching the suspects, and I feel that's a very a good safety tactic to keep in touch with because at the end of the day we all want to go home safe. So identifying those crimes before even approaching the suspect is very useful. Educating the public in the forest and not even knowing nothing about the forest was definitely a great skill for me. I never been in the forest before even taking on this internship, so that was a very difficult task. But I spent a lot of time learning about the forest so I could help educate the public when they came to me and ask questions when no one else was around. And I also learned how to articulate law enforcement terms in my reports for accuracy and credibility to make sure that there are no loopholes for the defense attorney or the person that's going to court can have loopholes and try to get out of the ticket or citation of the violation that they committed. One of my most difficult challenges while interning with the Forest Service was the ice rescue safety training. Being in the cold is one thing, but being in below freezing water temperatures at almost 40 and 50 degrees, I mean, at 40 and 50 feet, was even more nerve-wracking. I participated in it with the Department of Natural Resources, which is a state law enforcement agency here in Utah, and the Forest Service works very much with them, and they gave me the opportunity to participate in the ice rescue safety training. I wouldn't do it every day, but it's a very great skill for me to have because there are a lot of recreational activity that happen in frozen ice in our reservoirs, lakes, and rivers. So I felt like being able to save myself or someone else was definitely something I needed. Like I said, it was a difficult challenge for me, but I completed it and just to get the experience and get out of my comfort zone. Had a couple of highlights of my internship. One of my first highlights of my internship was participating in Las Vegas Christmas detail. I spent 14 days, including Christmas and Christmas Eve, at Cow Canyon in the Las Vegas National Forest. I don't know the name of it. What I basically did, I participated in a lot of traffic control. I dealt with got a lot of experience seeing how law enforcement officers in the Forest Service deal with drugs and alcohol usage, and dealing with a lot of snow and traffic accidents. That's why I learned how to maneuver around in snow and driving. And I also dealt with a lot of unusual citizens. It was kind of slow in Utah, so seeing that side of the citizens in the forces was kind of like crazy. This picture right here is actually a picture of someone stealing one of the Forest Service signs and using it as an umbrella because he didn't have an umbrella in the snow. And it was like amazing to me just because I didn't think that I can see that, especially being in Utah where everything is like slow and really quiet during the winter times. One of my other final highlights that I had was the shop with a cop. My supervisor, Tony Myers, gave me the opportunity to participate in shop with a cop, with basically all the local, state, and federal officers in the United States. I mean, Utah had the opportunity to bless a family with a great Christmas. I wasn't home with my family for Christmas, so and I had a lot of opportunities to give back to the community while I was in college. So being able to participate in a career and have the opportunity to do that even in this type of line of work definitely like put a smile on my face and warm my heart just to see kids smile and see how law enforcement shed a positive light on the community. Um, some of the trainings that I did learn that I felt that was very beneficial to me that would help me become a successful law enforcement officer in the future was the snowmobile training, the off-road highway vehicle training, firearms training, ice rescue training. Like I said previously, completing citations, violation notices, and incident reports, and just basically increasing my ability to use my soft skills um, to figure people out and be able to be a helping hand for the public. And to complete it all, I had a phenomenal experience working here in Region 4 out of the Arctic Ranger District with Tony Myers, the patrol captain, the commander, and all the other surrounding officers, state, federal, and locally. Once the paperwork is completed and administration handle what they need to handle, I will be accepting the job as a law enforcement officer here in Ogden Range. I mean, in Regional 4 in the UN Wasatch Cache National Forest out of the Pleasant Grove Ranger District. And that's my presentation.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Kendra Derrick, and I've spent the last several months with the Region 3 web team in the Office of Communication Engagement under Linda Harms, who's the Region 3 Regional Web Manager. Just a little background on me. I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. I went to college in San Antonio, where I studied English and computer science. I graduated in May 2020, so it wasn't the best time to graduate. And I ended up hopping around a little bit. I was a technical writer. I was unemployed for a time, and I ended up working in Zion National Park last summer. And it was there that I kind of stumbled on a listing for the RAP program and was opening it, the R3 web team, which I felt like I was perfectly qualified for. Go ahead to the next slide. So as a web team employee, I'm responsible for like day-to-day updates to internal and external websites, like there's a new fire, there's rec sites being closed, there's employee spotlights we want to post, etc. But my major project has been assisting with the National Web Modernization Project. If you haven't noticed, about half of the Forest Service websites, including individual programs and forests, regional websites, have flipped to this new modern look and feel from our old one, which is the one on the left, which was made, I think, in 2001. You can't use it on a cell phone. It's very difficult to navigate. And so now we have this beautiful new websites that are hopefully going to help us disseminate information to our external customers better. This project has given me a great opportunity to be in meetings with people from across the Forest Service, from like research, from CIO, from different regions, which has helped my visibility as an RA and helped me understand more of what the Forest Service does beyond just the Region 3 Office of Communications. But I thought I'd just take a moment to show off how much kind of independence and trust I've been given as an RA on this project. So if you'd like to go to the next slide. So I got to redesign the R3 homepage. On the left is what it looks like right after we flipped the site to the new design. And on the right is what I made. It's easier for users to find what they're looking for. Our average user is either looking for, rec passes, maps, safety information, etc. And a big thing we've been able to do with the new web skin is use these components. So that big image on the top is called a hero. The smaller ones are called cards, and those are like pre-coded components that we can use on any Forest Service website. And you can just copy and paste them in. You don't even really need like a big computer science web coding background, which is great because then it's standardized across all of our websites. So this site, a lot of the Region 3 forest sites, so Apache Sitgreaves, Cupertino, etc., are going to look very similar to this, which is going to be helpful for our users to find what they need. Next. So that's what added this new page to the R3 site, which is where we decided to consolidate a lot of very important and sometimes controversial information, stuff that in the original 2001 site design was kind of strewn all over. If you saw like all of those links on the homepage. And so it's really hard to find what you were looking for. So here was what my mentor likes to call our Please Don't Sue Me page, where if you are looking for information about endangered species, forest management, etc., this is where you can go, and it can help people to find that before they get angry at us for not taking care of owls or etc. And to clarify, my task is not only just constructing this layout, it's also, finding these photos, writing the content in text, which has been really fun for me as someone with that English background as well to the coding background. So after my work on the R3 site, I was assigned as the kind of lead designer and point of contact for the Gray Towers National Historic Site flip. Gray Towers is in Pennsylvania, I believe. It's where Gifford Pinchot grew up, and his house is now a National Historic Site. So this was a lot of time and communication between me and the PAO on Gray Towers, updating their navigation menu, all of their content. And it was just really exciting to like kind of be the point of contact and the lead designer on something, and work independently with a client, especially as an intern. It wasn't something that I was really expecting to do. Go to the next. So in addition to doing web stuff, I got to visit Albuquerque. I'm currently living in Seattle, and I got to help with some conservation education events. We went to Albuquerque Aloft, which is when they put these, they launch hot air balloons from different schools across Albuquerque. And I got to take photos there and kind of represent the Forest Service for the first time, facing the public. And that's actually Tyler in the Smokey Bear costume, who you'll hear from later. So that was really fun. And then I've also been able to help with some projects on the external communications team within the OCE, kind of leveraging my journalism and content background. So yeah, it's been a really fulfilling and great experience with the Forest Service. So I actually just accepted an official offer to join the web team in R3. I'll be moving to Albuquerque and transitioning into a permanent position at the end of the month. So thank you for your time. I'll turn it over to whoever's next.
I'm a program assistant for the National Recreation Fee Program, and I work with Todd Harbin, who is the Assistant National Recreation Fee Program. Go for it, lady. Cool. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Peru, which is exciting. I'm a native Spanish speaker, but I've lived most of my life in California, and then for college, I went up to Portland State here in Portland, Oregon, and I've been in Portland for the better part of the last 6 years. When I was in school, I studied biology and sustainability, and I finished up with that in May of 2020, which, like Kendra said, is not an ideal time to finish school. So given the circumstances, I decided to finally learn how to sleep and like relax for a while. And then after a few months, I had some connections with some of our partner organizations, and someone budged me to go apply to be a resource assistant. So my first go around with the research assistant program was with the Intermountain region. I worked in sustainability and climate, and that's kind of when I was introduced to the world of communications, because I ended up doing a lot of the stuff for the coordinator in that region. But I still wanted to take a jab at biology, and so I decided it would be really cool to get some field experience, and I landed a seasonal job with the Fire Lab in Missoula, Montana for the Rocky Mountain Research Station. So that was a really exciting summer. I lived there for 3 months out of the smoke jumper dorm, which was really awesome, and made a lot of firefighter friends. But as much fun as that was, I kind of decided I wanted to take my career into a professional series with the Forest Service. So I started reaching out for different experiences, and I found the RA program in Portland, which was just a double whammy because I really wanted to move back to Portland. So I'm really glad Todd gave me that opportunity, because I get to be home and also work from the Forest Service. I put a bunch of pictures of our national forests as backgrounds just because I do work remotely, so I don't have anything too exciting for you guys to look at. Anyways, what I do for the Rec Fee program, I was initially hired on to take on implementing the Rec Fee inquiry, which is basically a big national inquiry that we did on the Rec Fee program, like a kind of program evaluation to find out what's working with the program and what isn't. So a lot of folks went out to a bunch of different national forests to interview people, and then I was brought on to kind of address those recommendations and help out with some organizational management and see how I could break those recommendations out into some more tangible and doable tasks for my team. Other than that, I do work on communications. We have a lot of internal trainings that go out to the field, so I do my best to improve those and make them as comprehensible as I can for folks. And then I've also been working on our automated fee machine program. The recreation program is working on making fees easier for the public. So if you ever see those machines that collect your credit card and you get a ticket back for an entrance, That seems to be a lot easier than taking cash. So anything we can do to kind of digitalize that system really improves our interactions with the public. I'm also the Forest Service vote for the Share the Experience photo contest, which is a pretty sweet part of my job. I pretty much get to look at pretty pictures and be judgy about it. And so those pictures end up on some of our passes, our interagency passes that we share with other agencies. And then overall, I just provide some administrative capacity to the team, to Todd and Vanessa, who is our finance person as well. So a little bit about the Rec Free program. It is defined by the Recreation Enhancement Act, which was signed on in 2004. And that legislation basically defines where certain recreation fees can be charged and where they can't. And that's usually based on what amenities and services are provided. So we do have to be able to provide something to the public before we can charge a fee. And then there are different processes to change those fees as well. The legislation also defines how those dollars can be spent. So the money that we collect from the public can't just be spent on anything. We have some rules about where it can go. But overall, recreation fees are meant to be reinvested into recreation. So all the money that the public gives us should be going back to them so that they can have a better recreational experience. So some challenges with the new job. As always, catching up on FS context. Anytime you join a job, there's some new lingo to learn, but I think with the Forest Service specifically, there's a lot of new acronyms and programs and names that you have to learn. Learning from a new scope. So as I said in the past, I worked for a regional office, and then I was on the field, which was a totally different experience, and that was for a research station and not a district. So that was really unique in itself. And finally, I'm at the top, so getting to see things from the Washington office perspective. You have to kind of adjust to the scope, and it has been a good, well-rounded experience in the sense that it's given me a good idea of all the moving parts in the Forest Service to have worked at all these different levels, but it is something new to learn. And then approaching abstract ideas. The stuff on the inquiry, a lot of it was like really abstract managerial ideas. And I think to come in with like no context of, who is who and having to catch up on that, and then, make these recommendations smaller and more approachable was kind of a challenge because there's such big ideas, and you have to know a lot about your program to break them down into smaller things and assign them for people to do. But I do think I'm getting better at that as time goes on. And then weirdly enough, professional development. You guys all know we got the money for professional development, and it's almost like, the world's your oyster, and I have like no idea in which direction I would want to go. So that's something I'm figuring out as I go is, what would be most useful for me to learn to better myself for my career is something that I'm figuring out. The accomplishments, I am just wrapping up building a story map app for the Youth Conservation Corps program. I think it should be published soon, but it's a huge map that basically gives all the background info for YCC, but it also has a guided map tour with points at all of the YCC opportunities on a map. And so it is hopefully going to be used as a recruiting tool so people can, take a look at the map and see any locations they'd be interested in, be linked to that program. I'm also in the midst of putting out some recreation fee implementation templates, so hopefully that'll be used on a national level. And I'm really glad to be delegated that responsibility. I'm glad that Todd trusts me with it. And overall, just giving Todd some more room to breathe. I'm really happy to be helping him out in that capacity because he is acting for the National Rec Fleet Manager. So yeah, happy to be a part of the team. That's it for me. Thanks, guys.
Ashley, you're muted.
Start all over. I'm sorry. Well, my name is Ashley Logan. I am from DC area. I went to Virginia State University and I traveled all the way to the West Coast, California. First time ever. Was crazy. I'm at a population with 2,000 people, so it was a big culture shock for me. But I love it, and working as a public affairs Wild Horse admin, that's the resource program. And out towards California, by the way. Next, please. Just some overall things I did, like first of September, when we all first came in, I started doing press releases, spotlights. I took pictures for the wilderness for Facebook. I made Wild Horse flyers for upcoming events. Around that time, I didn't go outside at all. I was just nervous, just being in a place I'd never been before. But moving forward to the winter season, I started doing wild horse stuff more. We recorded wild horses and adoption videos. I started doing tours for people. I never knew anything about horses, so I had to start from scratch, learning, and it was a fun experience. And they're beautiful animals. And I continue to keep the Facebook up to date with the post. I started coming out more, like start experiencing outside life in this beautiful place. And going to now, I completed, some projects with the Wild Horse, make some magazines and brochures for events. I think it's an Ag Expo coming up. And just going off earlier that presented, I'm also doing web makeover edits, to the web page, getting ready for the switchover, which I'm excited to see. And I attend various committee meetings as well. That's just overall what I've done at MODOC. Next, please. Bouncing off what I said, so this is like public affairs more. So my job was like to keep track of the Facebook, having a voice, with the community and partnerships. And so I had to like schedule posts every day on Facebook and do research and go outside and take pictures. And down below is just a few flyers I had to make to get ready for the wild horse adoptions, which was in January. Yeah, so that's just the overall. And the media part I did with the public affairs. Next, please. And when I was saying earlier, spotlights, so a certain department will come and bring me a project and be like, hey, example, like a fire, like, yeah, we just did a prescribed fire. I'm like, okay. He was like, okay, I want you to show how, our project was successful. So I have to collect as much information from them, not knowing what prescribed fires are or what, just various things these departments have. So I would prepare a brief like press release and I'll email it to them, to the whole like community, just give them like a quick shout out to what's going on and what they did and their accomplishments. And then you see down below, I make something like a spotlight, which is just like, putting the light on the certain projects. And just, putting it in a format that looks presentable. And so, the community can read. And then from that, we broadcast it, go a little broader and put it in the newspaper, in a local newspaper, and take some photos of them. I'll ask for some photos and I'll put that on Facebook and just do like a quick little brief thing to just lead them to the website to see the forest spotlight. So that was pretty cool seeing different projects and just being a part of just showcasing how, their accomplishments with the projects. Yeah. Next, please. So the wild horse adoptions, if you don't know, there are wild horses here. It still sounds weird saying it, but so it's a population if you don't know, it's a population that's over capacity with the wild horses. Like they're the main dog basically, but they're invasive species. Like they're not, they was brought here by, you know, the Mexico and brought here and they was dropped off. And now there's up to 4,000 horses and it's supposed to be 500. So the Forest Service is taking an initiative to, you know, get some balance in the ecosystem because they're just tearing up, you know, everything, the water supply, they're eating everything and all the other plants, you know, all the other plants and animals are just, you know, not happy with the horses. So we do adoptions, we gather them, and my job, if you see, is a video down there. I will record them while they go past, and I'll put like a number on them, 6609, like that one, and I just upload it and be ready for the online adoption. Because of COVID, there's no more like in-person adoption. And just right there to the left, you know, is the magazine. First time they did magazine, I decorated it in a brochure, just to get people more aware of what the, how they're, what they're doing with the water horses in this community. Press next, please. All right, so like I was saying, the project, so if someone bring me prescribed fires, that's cool that I get like information, but sometimes I'll be like, I need to go out there and like see what you're really doing. I can't really write a story. You know, you saw the spotlight, but those spotlights be like 3 to 2 pages or 4 pages, and I don't know what it is. So I go out and you see there's prescribed fire down the bottom. You know, that's how they started off, which was really cool. You know, I'm glad I didn't bring my wig because yeah, it was fire everywhere. Like I was just like, like I had my new Nikes and everything. Like I had to just adjust to the country life. So yeah, I saw fires, prescribed fires. That's just everywhere. Just then they're like putting torch in the juniper. You know, it's an invasive species. It's just bad. You know, just bad. At the top, that's what it looks like after the fact. Like this is a year later from another project, and so it looks bad, but actually it's not. Like it kills like a lot of the diseases, but don't like kill the tree, you know. But it's just, it was just a great experience to see that, and yeah, very hot too as well. But yeah, so that's just one of the things I have to go out and just communicate, interview with them, ask questions like, what is this, what is that, and just broadcast it on Facebook, the website, or Spotlight, or the newspaper. Next, please. So my experience is overall, the importance of ecological balancing. Just so if you see to the right, that's the sage grouse. That's an important bird here. It's a turkey, I didn't even know, but it's so cool. But you know, they're not getting enough food. You know, they're coming endangered because the horses, if you see on the left, they trample all over the water. You know, and with the horses trampling, like 4,000 horses plus the drought in California, it's just bad. So I just had to see what the importance was. I just had to go out there myself, and I'm seeing, if you see to the, you know, the top, that was 2 years ago, that little pond, and look how it dried us up in 2 years later. Like that's ridiculous, you know? And so at the bottom, I just wanna, this is my horse, this is my favorite horse, Penny. I never like horses, y'all, you know, I just use their hair and stuff, you know, but I love horses now. But this is Penny to the left. That's where she, so yeah, they're starving too. Like they don't have enough food. So that's Penny to the left, where she was in September. I was like, oh my gosh, like this, I just couldn't believe, you know, a horse was that skinny. And then that's the right, that's Penny today. You know, she's like, look back at it. You know, she's healthy as ever. She got adopted with her buddy to the left. So that was a great experience. And I got to touch a horse for the first time, you know, which they don't like, you know, they don't like people because, you know, they're wild horses. Like, you know, I thought it was a bad thing, but just seeing this before and after, I'm like, you know, I'm happy to be a part of this, you know, experience, and I see why it is important. You know, it takes care of the horses, and it takes care of the population of animals. Next, please. Another thing, being a voice for the community and the partnerships is extremely important. I did not know that. you know, you have a job, but you don't know who's in between the job, you know, like the middle person, like speaking up for the person. So it's like, I had to be the middle. Like I had to like talk to the people that wanted to adopt a horse. And then I had to talk to people that actually give them the horses. And then I got to talk to in the middle, like, you know, just like, but it's just, it's, you know, it's an important factor, you know, and it communication is key in the place and outside with communities and people. So I definitely learned, yeah, communication is key in the workplace. The next slide, please. One thing I got away from is being outside made me feel like better mentally and physically. Like I said, I'm from the city and I just stay in the house. Like I don't got time to be outside and with that craziness. But here and actually going outside, I actually feel better. And I was just like, dang, like I just took a walk and I feel much better. So this is Bernie Falls. I went to a waterfall the first time. So it was beautiful. Like got to check out Bernie Falls. I think it's still in California, but yeah. So overall, it was a great experience. And, you know, to summarize it up, I am going to stay here, just waiting for the paperwork. And I'm doing the job, going towards the job as a partnership coordinator, which I'm excited of learning grants, which is really needed, it looks like, for the future. So I'm excited to learning that and still have public affairs, you know, side to it. But thank you. That's it. Really? Yeah, I got to check it out. It's so cool.
All right, Vanessa, if you can move forward to Tyler.
Is Brenda on? I believe I see.
Oh, I don't see her on my.
Finally, I did.
Yes. Oh, okay.
I was
There we
having a
are.
lot of troubles.
You're good.
Okay. Well, I'm Brenda Peña. I'm a communications specialist, research assistant from El Yunque National Forest. You can pass to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Oh, thank you. And I will be talking to about my journey here. In my first month here, when I started, my priorities were clear. I had to establish communication with the communities, to start to build relationship with the communities that worked with El Yunque. I had to be a liaison with the municipalities and the forest, and I need to attend the communication needs that we had. Like, we need to work in our social media strategy. We need to integrate more the Spanish language in our social media. We need to do more work in our Spanish, because that's our first language. So it was very important to me to work on that. And I also had to make a communications plan for the biggest project we had in a lot of years, that would be the reopening of the visitor center. We call it El Portal. And next slide, please. So El Portal, it is important because it's the main center, the main visitor center of the Caribbean. It is the door to El Yunque, the only tropical rainforest of the National Forest System, engine of the eastern side of Puerto Rico's economy, and source of 20% of the water that we consume in the island. And it also is a symbol of the recovery and resilience of Puerto Rico. So it was an important project to us, and we wanted to showcase and to be covered of all the media when we open the visitor center. You can pass to the next slide, please. And I can say that 80% of my work in these first months was dedicated to the reopening of El Portal and the communications plan. We focus on have a massive media coverage. I wanted to integrate storytelling in our social media because I'm a journalist, but my profession is a journalist. So it was important to me to have, for me to have that storytelling present in our social media. And we need we must have the local government support with the Puerto Rico Tourism and Company and Destination Marketing Organization plan. And in the picture, I'm presenting one of the news reports that we have, and it was one of my favorite because the way that she managed the coverage of the reopening. So we built this dream team of communicators with two former colleagues. They are resources of one of our partners organizations called Vitrina Solidaria. And we designed this amazing plan of communication. And we wanted to have a lot of press here the day of the reopening. And then you can pass to the next slide, please. And the achievement with this communication plan were that we received all the support of the press we wanted. We validate that the press here in Puerto Rico is an ally of the forest. And it's always positive to know that, because when we have some amazing stories to happen in the forest, you can count on our local press. And even the interest El Portal reopening made in our country and in our press was so big that even 4 weeks later, we were receiving interviews requests, and we were making some alternative stories. And other thing that we covered as part of our communication plan was that the stories we were publishing on our social media were inspiring our journalists to make their own news reports. So it was very touching to have to post stories like the Junior Ranger program, and that we are having a picture. In the first picture is about that. That was the first Junior Ranger that made the program in El Portal. And the last picture is referring to the story of Diego. It was a story that we wrote in our social media about this young man that decided to make these ornaments about the Puerto Rican parrot and donate them to El Yunque shop, the memorabilia shop. And his intention was that those ornaments can sell, and the collected money will be designated to our Puerto Rican parrot conservation program. So it was there was sorry, my English is not good. Those were stories that were very touching for us. And I think the biggest achievement for me is to see that this reopening and the communication effort that we did contribute to an island-wide celebration. Puerto Ricans were so proud about the El Yunque reopening. Next slide, please. So the impact on El Yunque for this communication effort was that for many, and the portal reopening, was that for many Puerto Ricans, El Portal reopening represent the first visit to El Yunque. And it is not weird because there's a lot of Puerto Ricans that have never been in our national forest. So I think one of my commitments working in communications is that even people cannot go to El Yunque, can travel to El Yunque through our eyes or through our pictures or through our content. And I think we are doing so good in that. The media exposure has resulted in visits to El Portal and other places inside the National Forest. And El Portal is, we are seeing the El Portal like a cradle of economic and community development projects and education and conservation. And I'm very attentive to this project to help them to showcase too. So next slide, please. And last, why this experience has been invaluable to me. First of all, because my Puerto Rican pride. I think Puerto Ricans are very proud to have El Yunque as part of our heritage. And it's comparable, I think, sometimes this pride is comparable to the pride we feel about our flag. So it's a big thing for us. And working, to have this opportunity to work in El Yunque, doing the thing that I love, that is to work in communications, it makes me feel so proud. For 17 years, I was an active journalist. So working at El Yunque gave me the opportunity to rediscover my profession, to rediscover myself professionally, and to do my job from the other side. I used to cover the stories. Now I am thinking or looking for the stories and proposing them to journalists to cover them. So it's one of the parts that I enjoyed most. And last but not least, I think it's my way to contribute to the conservation and enjoyment of the rainforest, as well as other protected lands. So I think this is a brief of my experience here. I have to say I enjoyed a lot. And thank you.
Hey everyone. I know we're coming up on the top of the hour, so I'll try to be as quick as I can, but my name is Tyler Willis. I'm the Special Uses Resource Assistant out of the Southwestern Regional Office here in Albuquerque. I have my Bachelor's of Science in Environment and Natural Resources from The Ohio State University. I just hit my 960 hours for the program last week, so excited about that. I moved from Las Vegas, Nevada to Albuquerque, so not a huge change, definitely a different vibe, but I've been enjoying it. This first picture here is of me as Smokey Bear with Francesca Lamana. She's a fire lookout at the Cibola National Forest, and that was at the Albuquerque Aloft event. That's actually where I met Kendra from earlier too. I thought that was a good picture to use because it kind of set the tone for my experience. I was out of my comfort zone, learning and trying new things, meeting lots of smart, talented people. And so I thought that was a good pick to highlight first. Next slide, please. So I'm in special uses, and for those that don't know, a special use authorization is a permit that grants rights or privileges of occupancy or use on National Forest System land. I think more than any other work area in the Forest Service, special uses really embodies that idea of land of multiple uses. And because I'm at the regional office, I don't have a lot to do with some of the day-to-day activities with like issuing permits, things like that, because that happens at the forest level. We are really focused on the centralized billing team. That's been a lot of my duties. But luckily I had a really good mentor in Ken Bourne, the regional recreation special uses manager, and he wanted to make sure that I got out to the field to really kind of put some of these concepts to vision and really see what's going on. So very early on, we went out to the Coconino National Forest near Flagstaff. This is actually Arizona Snowball, big ski resort up there, and we joined a ropeway inspection team. So that was really cool, just to kind of see some of the technical and safety aspects that go into like the gondolas and the systems that they have there, and also really good just kind of meet other Forest Service people on the ground, meet some of the permit holders. We actually met with the general manager there at Arizona Snowball, so that was really cool. Next slide, please. We also got to go down to Sedona, that's on the Red Rock Ranger District, and we met with a handful of outfitter guides that run like the Jeep tours down there, like Pink Jeep, I'm sure you've heard of. That was a really good experience because we really got to see kind of the challenges that they have down there. Obviously, they want more business, but with those OHV trails, more business means more wear and tear and more maintenance, more complaints from homeowners nearby. So I thought that was a really good experience to kind of hear the challenges that they face on a day-to-day basis and how they're like collaborating with each other and the Forest Service to kind of come to solutions with overcrowding and things like that. It was also really pretty down there. Next slide, please. In New Mexico, I actually got to go up to the Santa Fe National Forest with a couple former RAs that are now in permanent positions. And I helped out with some rec residence inspections. This is on the Pecos Ranger District. And that was really cool because, again, being at the RO, we don't necessarily deal with a lot of these day-to-day things. And I think on this trip is when I kind of realized how special uses was really lacking in capacity. Just because some of these things, these inspections have to be done pretty often. And when you only have 1 or 2 people out there to do it, you do get kind of behind. And it was a really good idea to kind of see where we can grow and what we can improve. So it was nice because some of those cabins out there were definitely not in compliance. And so I got to see her kind of do on her phone these little forms that she would inspect them with. And so that was kind of cool just to kind of, again, put these concepts to paper. Next slide, please. This is kind of a random collage of different pictures of places that I went. That first one is Mormon Lake in Arizona. That was another recreation residence, but that one's from the 1930s, and it's actually abandoned. It's actually really dilapidated. And the holder there, we actually ran into him, and he said, well, he's not the holder. He wants to be the holder. He wants to take it over and maybe turn it into like a museum or some kind of like a little club or something. And so that kind of highlights the interesting proposals you get from proponents wanting to have special use authorizations, like to be the holders of these things. I think they even said maybe Franklin Roosevelt or somebody used to vacation in that area. That second picture was when I was shadowing at the Cibola National Forest, and we drove 3 hours to Corona, New Mexico, which is a town of 500 people, to go see a windmill. And the reason why we did that was because the permit said it was just like a pipeline there, but there's actually more stuff there, as you can see. So we just had to kind of verify what was on the ground, and just so we can go back and reissue the permit and make sure that everything is in compliance. And that last picture is actually here in Albuquerque. That was another ropeway inspection I got to attend, and that was at the Sandia Tram. You guys may have seen that in the news back in January when they had an event there where people got stuck overnight over New Year's because of the ice on the ropeways. So this was obviously before that, and we got to get a kind of behind the scenes look on what happens in those emergency situations, the safety precautions that they have in place, and the plan of actions that they have. So that was really cool. Got to see behind the scenes and some kind of scary ropes and gears and giant things like that. But yeah, next slide, please. So overall, it was a super, super beneficial program. Less than a year ago, I had no idea I was going to be working with the Forest Service. I was trying for a very long time to kind of break into the environmental field and conservation field, and wasn't really sure how to do that or where to start. And I did stumble across this program, and it seemed like it was designed just for me. So I really enjoyed learning and meeting all these amazing people. It sounds like I'm going to be able to stay on permanently with the special uses team at the regional office. So I'm super excited to really just continue this journey to meet more people. Thank you.
Awesome. Those were some amazing presentations. I enjoyed all of the videos, the pictures, all of the words. You guys had some really great experiences, and I won't take too much time now. I'll save my words for the end. But thank you guys for presenting today and sharing your highlights from your RA-ship. So at this time, we're going to keep the ball rolling. We're going to pass it over to Arthur Phalo, our Volunteering Services Program Manager. Arthur. And Vanessa, if you can stop sharing and highlight Arthur.
Wow. That's all I can use the words right now is wow. Those were some awesome, awesome, awesome presentations. And I'm sure that all the remaining RAs have something similar to that. Let me just say congratulations to all of you for embarking on this experience. So good afternoon. My name is Arthur Phalo, and I am the Volunteers in Service National Program Manager. On behalf of the Recreation, Heritage, Volunteer and Resource Leadership, the VS staff, and myself, I would like to welcome you to a pep talk for today, right? And so forgive me if I kind of talk with my hands just a little bit, but just know that just something I kind of do, but that was just overwhelming and awesome. This is my first one, pep talk, and actually the first one seeing the outcomes of some of the reports such as that. So, but one of the things I kind of want to share, in my old position as the Center Director for the Linden Reduction Job Corps Center, I frequently speak with students about the question, how long is it going to take to complete the program at LBJ? And anxiously, I reply to them and say, I say that the process of completing the program is more important than the time it would take to finish the program. And that's what I want you guys to kind of understand. And, the question will be, why do you think this is so? Well, I'm going to try to, in the next few minutes, share with you that particular question, why. Try to answer that question, why. Often we get in a rush to accomplish things, or somewhere sometimes we don't stop to smell the roses along the way. I bet you can look back at your childhood and there's a moment you embedded into your memory that you refuse to let go. One that will actually put a smile on your face today. Or perhaps you can remember the first day of childhood going into that particular classroom. Or I'm hoping that you at the same time remember the first day you entered into this internship. And what was those thoughts? What was those memories? What was that particular feeling that you got when getting into that? I assure you that you were anxious and could only think about one thing, and that was hope it get over real soon, if that was the case. However, respecting the process and understanding the process and appreciating the end results will be something great. Now, just like this particular ceremony that we're here in today, right? That process, understanding how you're feeling right now, how you're feeling about, I've completed this process. Better yet, how you accomplish all the things that you have accomplished in this internship because you took it seriously. You took it seriously enough to put the effort and commitment into this particular internship to what I deem is to graduate to that next part of your career. And I hope you feel good about that. But, nevertheless, I want you to learn to respect the process, to be patient enough to smell the roses along the way. So what is the process? I say the process is of knowing how to navigate in this multi-generational workforce, increasing your skill set, and being able to tell your story, your experience in a competing workforce. And some of you have done just that. If I had the time, I probably would ask you to turn on your cameras and answer this question, but because of time, I'm going to go right into it and just want you to kind of think and ponder. You know, what are the generational differences in the workforce? What are they? All right. What do you think they are? And so let me just share with you. You have baby boomers. You have what we call Generation X, Generation Y, and Generation Z. Excuse me. So I read an article probably almost 2 months ago, and this kind of helped when I thought about this presentation. I actually went and found the article, and it was telling me, and the title of the article is "The Key to Managing a Multi-Generational Team." And the first thing in the article is said, "Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it," right? And so, because this letter, this particular article was written by a guy by the name of Robert Half, and he was interviewing financial leaders because of that. And three different significant things came out of that. And the three significant differences came out of that was communication. 30% of those people he interviewed said communication was one of the big things. And then he said the ability to adapt to change was another one. And then the technical abilities. And so he went on to break it down just a little bit more, and I'll give you some of that feedback that he gave. And some of the feedback was about how that those particular different generations responded. And, you know, and regarding communication, he said that baby boomers have a tendency to be reserved. Generation X favor that they want to be in command and control. Generation Y prefers collaboration. And Generation Z, they like in-person communication. And so he went on to talk about regarding change management and what baby boomers would be thinking. They say they are very cautious. Generation X and Generation Y is that they see things as an opportunity. And Generation Z, they just love change. They embrace change. And when it came to technology, I thought it was very interesting. Baby boomers and Gen X's value instructor-led courses, while the other two generations just love the technology center itself. They love the collaboration that was out there. So I bet you're asking the question, why is this important to understand? Or why is this information this important? What is it? It's important to understand working in a multi-generational workforce. And the key thing that you need to understand, and mostly, I wouldn't say most, all of you understand, especially the ones who presented that I heard, they know that the one big thing, that 30% was communication. No matter what type of relationship you're in, working or personal relationship, you must understand this valuable skill set. This is a true valuable skill set to be able to communicate. Not just to communicate in writing, but at the same time oral. Because what happens is that when you are able to do that in either one of those, in both of those particular skill sets, you're able to get the work done, right? Get the work done. I guess I would say on the field and off the field. And so it's very, very important that we actually look at that. For an example, let me give a hard truth, right? To me, in communicating in the workforce, you must use the chain of command to email or get a meeting with the chief of the Forest Service or even with the Secretary of Agriculture. And I'm not saying you can't email them, but no, you just must ensure that they use the chain of command. It is there for a reason. Knowing how to be able to do that is very important. I give another example is that if you have a Generation X person that's currently in as the chief of the Forest Service, and then you have a baby boomer trying to be able to take that information up, and you are a Generation Z, you need to understand it's not going to be that easy. And it can be just vice versa. Not saying that that is the way, but you need to be able to understand who and what you're dealing with. And sometimes you may not actually see that person and say, hey, I don't know what generation they fall in, but at some point when you build in those relationships, you'll be able to see exactly what that looks like. So having those skill sets that you have to be able to build on, and I would just like to name a few of those skill sets that I think that are valuable, that if you have not brushed up on, you need to consider looking into and brushing up on. And one is good listening skills. Listen to understand, not listening to respond. And so we sometimes get bogged down with just trying to give an answer out. And sometimes that answer may not be exactly what that person looking for. And sometimes it depends on if you're at work or personal. Sometimes people just want you to be able to listen, to be able to, so they can hear themselves think. So be able to manage that process, create that listening skill set. Conflict resolution. You're going to always have conflict. But how do you manage that conflict? What does it look like? Going into problem solving. It's another skill set you'll be able to look into and try to improve. Now, here's a big one, time management. We all probably have to stop and smell the roses on what it looks like for time management, being able to make sure that we are actually doing what we need to do within a certain amount of time to have that life balance situation going on. And then advocacy. And then here's another one that that I try to look in my day-to-day work habits to make sure that I'm doing it. And that's organizational skills. Having those organizational skills is very, very important, because the thing is, what we sometimes forget and don't realize is that the information that you're actually putting together is not for you, it's for the next person. Because one day you get sick, one day you go on vacation, that person needs to come behind you, be able to step in your shoes and move forward. And then if someone does that, that's only going to speak highly of you. So having those organizational skills. And this is my last one that I'll speak to on this, but this is a huge one to me, and that is changing our mindset, right? That's a skill set that we have to definitely try to be able to tap into, or even sometime improve. Because the thing is, with our mindset, we have a tendency sometimes, not everybody, have a tendency to be stuck in our own way. And sometimes the one thing that we need to always remember, that we can always learn something from somebody else, right? Even I have 30 years inside the Forest Service, I just learned something through the presentation about, which I had no idea was adopting horses, right? And so that kind of just blew me out of my mind. It's like, what, Forest Service has something going on like that in California? So I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. And so therefore, we can always learn something from somebody. And these skill sets are transferable. And what I mean by that is that some of you are going to take positions with the Forest Service, which I had, and congratulations to each of you. But some going to go on and do something different with a different agency. As we have shared before, that's a good thing. But these skill sets that you have, definitely are transferable to no matter where you're going to go in life. And, when you look at these skill sets, this is exactly what we're talking about, this DHA, this direct hiring authority. That is just something big. As I came through the agency, that wasn't anything. I was in a program somewhat similar, but it wasn't a direct hire. And this is good. The one thing I like about the resource assistance program, and again, it's a paid internship, right? And it exposes you to actual work load and actual workforce. Some of the internships that I've actually been on didn't even allow me to get to know the next person or the person up the ladder, but you get opportunity to see how the organization works. And so I just commend you like that. Even though I just shared that some of you may leave, but I just want you to know that the Forest Service is the employer of choice. We want each and every one of you to be able to apply for a position in Access, and at the same time, get a position. So let me just kind of keep on here. And this is probably my last point that I want to be able to share. And the thing is, on this one is, what is your story, right? What is your experience? How does your resume communicate your story or your experience to the hiring manager or to that team panel? most important, can you give a 30-second elevated speech to whoever you encounter? It's so great. If not, something you probably want to work on. Communicating your story is a wonderful opportunity to leverage what you know, some of the things that you may not have experienced or may not have been exposed to. But I believe that this is an opportunity to be able to apply all those different aspects of your interpersonal life, like dealing with different people or groups, different groups of people, excuse me, and strengthen your communication by exposing yourself to different cultures and backgrounds. And I heard you guys doing just that, stepping out and saying, you know what, this is out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to be able to do that. And that's awesome. You know, that's that story that you should be able to tell. So what's your story? Can you be able to tell your story in that 30 seconds, be able to share with people what you are, who you are, and what you're about? Let me give a little quick story right here. And it's 10 words. It's who are we and what do we want to become? These 10 words are about a young man that came up from a broken home. They were very poor. The house in which they lived in, there was a bathroom, but the toilet nor the tub worked properly. The porch was not stable, and the front door of the house was closed off with towels and sheets. They would sometimes not eat dinner because of the lack of funds. When the young man was 16 years old, he could work. He got a job to help support his mother and siblings while going to high school. Because people in the community saw that he was trying to help himself and the family, people started helping in their own way. The young man was able to go to college and go to college and determined to receive his master's and PhD. This young man now is doing well for himself and the family. I just want to be able to say, you know, the question behind that is who you are and where you want to be and who you want to become. He set his goals and knew what he wanted to be. Have you set your short and long-term goals? Do you know who you are? So thanks for allowing me to share a few words that I hope will move you through the process of getting and keeping that job. But let me just share one thing with you, and that is good, better, best. Never let it rest. To your good is better, and your better is best. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those words of wisdom. Arthur, we really appreciate all of those nuggets that you dropped. Hope you RAs took it in. Hope you digested it. Hope you took some notes, something to carry you on to your next journey. So we really appreciate you taking the time out to be with us today and to share your words. And so at this time, we will pass it over to Dawn to see if she has any words. And while she's getting ready, well, actually, before we go to Dawn, we're going to see if there's any liaisons that are online. And so while we're waiting on the liaisons to raise their hand if they would like to say any words, I would like to thank our speakers again today, all of our RAs that gave the presentation today. You guys did an amazing job. And not even just the RAs, but I also want to thank the mentors, because it's because of the mentors and their on-the-job training that they're providing them, that mentorship, that makes the whole experience what it is. You can come into the program and you can get partner with someone that is not passionate about their job, not passionate about the agency, and they're not providing that good on-the-job training and mentorship and development opportunity. But then you're going to also, you might on the flip get paired with someone that does have that passion, that does want to invest in you, and they do want to see that this program is a success as well as you. And it sounds like those that presented today, you guys got just that. And that's exactly what the program is about. That's the intent, that's the goal, and that's what we want to see. So kudos to all of you mentors as well. And so I just want to, if we can just take a moment to use the hand clap function to give our presenters a round of applause, as well as our mentors. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the work that you have done. Arthur, you raised your hand. Oh, okay, you didn't need to. Okay. All right. So I don't see any of our RSA liaisons raising their hand to say anything. So at this time, I'm going to pass it over to Dawn Meyer. Dawn, do you have any closing words?
Well, it's going to be hard to follow up with Arthur. I guess this is the third time that we have had this spotlight. You all are part of the third cohort that we've had with the national program, what we call the 2.0. And the resource assistant program actually started in 2017 when we got the authority initially. And I have been involved with this program from the beginning, from 2017 on. And every time that I hear and see what you all are doing out there, it just makes me cry. I'm just so inspired by all the good work that you're doing, and just, how you are going to be, as Arthur pointed out, that, I'm in the baby boomer category, and so you all are coming behind, taking up the leadership role in the agency. And I'm so happy to hear every time that somebody gets transitioned from the RA program into a permanent assignment. And again, just as Sylvia mentioned, thank you for those of you mentors that are on the call, that it would not happen without you being there to support these aspiring young professionals in their journey with their career. So I'm just going to leave it at there. Thank you so much for sharing today, and being a part of this program.
Thank you so much, Dawn. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate all the work that you two provide to the RAs as well as to the entire program. Thanks. Vanessa?
Guys, I'll keep this short. I'm echoing what Dawn said, but I also want to say that, as I mentioned in the RA chat last week, it's been a tough 2 years, and it's even, starting from the fall 2020 cohort, it was still a lot of challenges, but you are so resilient. You've given your best through it all, and I've so appreciated that. And from the presentations today, I knew that you guys do amazing work, and that was just the validation. Thank you so much for those who presented. For those who couldn't, I know that you're doing just as great of a work. So I just want to say it's been great to engage with you from the beginning and onboarding through your term. I hope that you've enjoyed the community that we've had in the RA's chat, and I hope that we've been able to help support you. And it's been an honor to support you. So whether you move on to another agency or even the profit world, or if you do stay with Forest Service, thank you for choosing us. Thank you for all of your hard work all the time, and I wish you the very best. But please stay in touch, and happy trails.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, for those words. Great. I don't think I see anything else from my other liaisons, so I'll have our parting words here. Again, I think I've said thank you a lot of times, but I'll continue to say that. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your enthusiasm. Thank you for your dedication, for your passion, for showing up every day of this RA-ship to do your job and to do great work, not just for us, but for yourself as well. I think that sometimes when you think of an internship, you're not really sure what to expect. You're not sure if you're going to just get to push paper or if you're going to actually do real work and work on high level projects. And again, according to the presentations that we've seen today, you guys got some really great experiences, some things that I've never seen before in my years with the agency, things that I never even heard of. Like I knew about wild horses, but I had no idea about the wild horse adoption. And the fact that Ashley said that was her first time touching a horse, the RA program is providing first time experiences, and that's just one example. So from the first time experiences to the once in a lifetime opportunities, Lonnie shared the picture about how he was able to go through all of those trainings and experiences that he probably never thought he would be able to do, right? Doing those rescue assignments, those are some once in a lifetime opportunities. And the personal connections and how Brenda shared how it means so much for her to work there on the El Yunque in Puerto Rico, and how it is her home, and she's just really passionate about the work she's been able to do there. And the fact that a lot of you guys are going to continue to work for the Forest Service. So it just makes me really happy. I'm so proud. I'm so honored to be the program manager and to lead you guys through this program and to just be that cheerleader for you throughout life, throughout your career in the agency. And even if you decide again to go to grad school or try out another employer, remember that the Forest Service is always here. And you have, again, 2 years to come back and use your authority to come back into the Forest Service and jumpstart your career as a Forest Service employee. So I just thank you guys for, again, trusting us as an agency, trusting your partners to provide you guys this experience, and really taking advantage of your training travel dollars and putting those things to use to develop yourself professionally and personally. And we just appreciate you stepping out your comfort zone. I think it was Tyler that talked about stepping out his comfort zone. And that's what you have to do in order to grow. You have to be uncomfortable. I'll never forget, my dad told me one time, he said, Sylvia, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. So I hope that throughout this RA shift, that there were moments and times that you felt uncomfortable, but once you got to that level of comfortability, you look back to see, I needed that. I appreciate that experience because that experience made me who and what I am now. So I hope that you take this RA shift to your next journey, wherever it may be, and you continue to do good work in this world and for yourself. Please know that the Resource Assistant Program staff is here to support you while you continue this journey as an RA. If you're going to be extending, if you finish the RA shift, reach out to us if you're needing assistance to get employed. We're always here to help you with your resumes. Utilize the portal. We have been working with the hiring team to hire folks, and so we need you guys to go to the portal, update your profiles, make sure that your documents are there, because people are looking for you. They want to hire you. So again, thank you guys for participating in this program. Thank you guys for showing up today. Thank you, mentors. Thank you, liaisons. Thank you to my staff. Thanks to the partners. There's a lot of people that play a part in making sure that this program is a success, and I'm just thankful for each and every one of you. So again, if there's anything I can ever do for you, please reach out. So thank you. Have a great rest of your day. See you guys next time.